Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about CSS rules. So we'll pretty much just go over a breakdown of what a CSS rule is. I believe in the previous video you've seen how you can actually add CSS to your website, in which there were 3 different ways. So take a look at the previous video if you missed that. But today, let's simply go over the CSS rule, a simple version. Okay, all right, cut the camera. All right, so what do we have here? We have just a regular CSS file. Actually, no, not a CSS file at all. We have an HTML file, and we're not going to add a CSS file here, but what we will do is actually keep the CSS in the actual same page. So let's actually do that. And again, you've seen this in the previous video, in which usually you would have an external CSS file, but in this case, we're going to keep the CSS for this particular video right within the same index file of the HTML. Oh, not there. Let's actually go right here. So we have just an index file. And what we're going to do is let's talk about the rule. So we have an HTML element here, and we're going to need to select that using CSS. And how we're going to do that is select it by using just the name of the actual element. So this is the selector that you're using. The selector in this case is the H1. And then you're going to open the actual, actually not, we'll call it the brackets. We'll actually open up these brackets. So this is our rule right here, and each rule consists of a property, and each property has a value. So in this case, let's say we were to say we were going to use the color property, and then to give it a value, in which that value would be, in this case, we'll say green. All right, in which is just a standard color of green. And then you'll notice to the right here we have the actual color of the text is green. So it's a simple rule, and this is how you would normally do your CSS. And then in this case, we're using the selector. Which selector? The H1 selector. And what is the actual property? It is the color property. And what is the value of the color property? It is green. Now, you can also use, I believe the hexadecimals, you can actually use that as well. There we go. So you can actually use that, but we'll just keep it simple, and we'll just keep the green. All right. And each rule that you have can have a number of different properties and values. Okay. So we can say, let's say the size. Let's say, what is it? What is it? Is it text size? Font size. There we go. So we'll go font size, so that's yet another property. And we'll go over a number of different properties all throughout this CSS series. And let's say we'll use some pixels, we'll go 100 px. All right, so now you can see it's a huge amount. So now we have 2 properties, one being color and the other being font size. And if we wanted to add even more, we can definitely do that. We'll add another property. We'll say the border. And we'll give that 1 px for the value. It's going to be, now this one's a weird one because it has multiple values here, but so it's 1 px solid, and we'll say the border will be black. All right, and so here, so your CSS is going to have mainly a rule. That rule is going to consist of a selector, and that selector is going to have a number of different properties and values. Okay, and if we were to add another, let's say we added a span here, and that span had, let's say, my data. Okay, so we have that right over here, and we needed to do another rule. Well, that rule would be right below that, and then we would select it like this, span, and we do open up the brackets or the curly braces. So many different names for these, and we would give it also some different types of property value pairs here, or key value pairs. But in this case, we'll say property value. So let's say we'll go with color, and we'll say we want the color of that to be pink. All right, so now you can see it's pink. And we'll use another property. We'll say font weight, in which you can see a number of them show up in using this IDE. So we'll say property weight will be bold, or we can use an actual number as well. Let's see here. We can use 700. Okay, and that color, the little pink, is a little hard to see, so let's go with something a little darker. We'll go with brown. And this is just how, again, you just keep adding different types of properties and values to make up the rule on how you want your actual element, your HTML element, to actually look. Okay, and can we actually do anything else we can add? Well, yeah, so we'll go over a number of different properties and values and things that you can actually put in your actual rules here. We'll go 30px solid black. All right, and that is a nasty, nasty border. So let's get rid of that. All right, so I think that's it for the actual rules. Nothing too crazy here. They basically, your CSS styles are going to be have a number of different rules. You could have thousands of lines of CSS, but let's end it there. And yeah, like, subscribe, and let's continue down this CSS journey. Talk with you later. Bye. Stack out.